Okay, so we have a plus 11 mists, full pug group. Um, Here at the start, we're going to skip this little pack on the left, and we're going to grab all of these spike claws. And those three on the left there, you want to wait just a second to clear that villager pack, otherwise they can pull. You can lust here. We opted not to. You don't really need it. Uh, we have a dragon out here in ranged, but he doesn't seem to get jumped on. If everybody stacks in melee, the spike claws don't leap, so try to make sure your range know that before the key starts. Not a lot happening here. I do forget to exploding keg, which is a pretty big mistake there. I think we could have gated with the warlock, but I think we just opt to paralyze and rop this next pack to get past. Yeah. So going through here, I like to go and get the mushrooms first, especially when you're either unfortified or 10 plus, which is always fortified, of course, this season. You can opt to well, I already paralyzed the other mob, but you could potentially paralyze one of the harvesters here, and I like to pull this group into the next two mobs when possible. I would have done that here, but it felt a little sketchy, and it was an 11. Definitely make sure you're always either detoxing yourself or someone else um, on this week, whatever this affix is called. Yeah, the dragging there got a little messy. What are you gonna do? Hopefully at some point I Weapons of Order. I've been holding on to it for quite a bit. Okay, there it is. But definitely if you're gonna pull that pack into this pack, you should address the party before the key starts and decide on which bow breaker you want to focus. I usually go with the left one and then mark it. Your healer will thank you. Now, I will say with this affix, it's the one that gives you the big shield, and you can uh, dispel yourself or heal through it. If you have a lot of healing orbs, you can just expel harm to get rid of it, and then I like to do that sometimes, and then detox somebody else in the group. Oh yeah, as far as my talent build goes, it's pretty tanky focused. I am running Ox Stance along with the Heightened Guard just below it. Not running Charred Passions or Dragonfire Brew, but we are running Scalding Brew. Um, and I think I swapped out Zen Med for one with the Wind, which I think I do in most keys nowadays. I haven't found a whole lot of uses for Zen Med, and I think our enhancement is not running the Fear Totem, so we just go running. I still haven't. Okay, there's my exploding keg. I don't know if it's worth it on the two targets or waiting for this phase. I mean, ultimately, it's probably more damage with when there's two mobs up here. Yeah, my damage is not the greatest here, especially. I'm getting beat by the oh my god, getting beat by the Preservation Evoker. Who do pump, admittedly, at times. Really great job from the DPS. Oh, I thought we one-phased it, but pretty close. Actually, yeah, I think this gets really sketchy because he's got the damage buff for him. I think we actually lose somebody here short. Yeah, we had a really great handle on things, and then it almost. I was really afraid it was going to fall apart here at the end. Again with a fear, which I was fortunate enough to be next to that rock. So if you don't know when you get feared by Malak, you just run directly away from him. So you can. Oh, we lost our guy again. So you can park yourself next to a wall, um, and you won't run very far. And thank God for the monk blink there, the new talent, getting me out of the circles. Oof, lots of bad overlaps here. And I didn't touch death, but I was probably panicking and didn't notice. I like to, you probably just saw popped up in the top left there, one of my Maze Week auras. I very often tend to do it as the tank, which is probably not optimal, but somebody's got to do it. I like to run that one and the automatic uh, maze solver. And I think we had our warlock here. He just pulled through the wall, which is great. I'm glad he did. It's definitely preferable. Warlocks, hunters can do that. I know there's some other tech with like Death Knights that I'm not really familiar with, but get you more mobs, get you more count. And I think the Mist Caller went that way too, if I recall. Guardian's very scary. And I am occasionally using the Vivify on myself uh, as sort of a filler heal. And I had Weapons of Order there. Again, I should have used. As well as my Tempered Potions. Pretty bad uptime on those on my part. Such a silly puzzle. Okay, there we go. Weapons of Order. I still, honest to God, I don't know what the Mist Ward does. I assume it does damage or heals the mobs or something, but just don't stand in it. Oh, and as far as hero talents are concerned, you've probably noticed, but I'm running Shadow Pan. Um, I've messed around with Mas Master of Harmony, Jesus, a little bit since they buffed it, and it's okay. It feels like a couple extra steps. Uh, I don't really care for it too much. The priority damage is nice. Um, Equinox has a pretty good video detailing it. If you haven't looked at that already. I like this matriarch um, as a tank, especially if you're tracking your healing orbs, which I do right next to my voodoo frames there. So it's really funny to do the Death Knight, instant heal with expel harm as soon as it touches you. I'm sure healers hate watching that. And yeah, if you roll away, you can tuck yourself into uh, the the healing, the pool of radiance, without the dragon being in it, but dragon goes down very fast. I am using the Black Ox statue. It was kind of annoying at first, but this expansion is just so crazy on threat, especially with melee DPS. Um, that the Ox is it's actually a pretty huge quality of life to have an AOE taunt with an 8-second cooldown functionally. Uh, Again, this is kind of a scary pack. I think I committed Fort Brew to this pull, which probably didn't need to. Especially, I think the next pull is a double Guardian pack, and it is, of course. But we have Dampen Harm, and we still have what's it called? The thing that resets your Celestial Brew. Got a little scared there. Used a ring to get some space, which isn't a huge help because it's the Guardians that are really the ones trucking me. Oh yeah, I was full panicking at this point. We lose our poor shaman again. I was so focused I didn't close the stupid maze solving overlay. And yeah, again, Weapons of Order is available. I didn't. I don't. It probably came up some like midway through the pull. Guardians go burr. Yeah. So here we are, Mist Caller. This is post. I guess you'd call it a nerf. The her orbs no longer damage the clones or the little fox. So we just do it like we did in Shadowlands. Get her patty cakes. I feel like my damage is really bad here. Not much to say, just make sure you're interrupting. And you can try to paralyze the fox. Most of the time, somebody just ends up breaking it. Probably should have committed a touch of death to one of these early clones. You usually get 2, maybe 3 uses out of it in this fight. You can, in fact, no, I think yeah, I use it on the Vulpin here. I don't know if that was worth it. Once again, sitting on exploding keg. I think that's why it's so important to record your videos or your runs, I should say. I use a Warcraft recorder, which is free. It's open source. It's very cool. Lets you look back and sort of self-critique, which I think is definitely more important than pointing fingers, especially if you're pugging a lot. Like, you're not going to see these folks again, most likely. Unless they're good. If they're good, try to add them. The goal is to not pug, right? Had a little brain freeze there. Okay. Yeah, I monk blink right into the fox. Kill, and once again, this time I assassinated the poor shaman. Wasn't his fault this time. It may not have been his fault the other times. I'm not entirely sure. We have Touch of Death up again. I didn't use it. I assume I use it on the Mist Caller. Hopefully I do. Oh, well, there you go. You can pause. You can go back and pause that if you want to look at my talent. So from my memory, this next pull, um, I paralyze one of the worms up here and try to skip this first pack. Uh, and I do successfully, but as you'll see on the bottom left, I have a combat timer. It doesn't trigger. Well, knock on wood. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so it wasn't me. But yeah, keep that pack in mind because they will be back. But somebody aggroes, and once the paralyze breaks, we will realize that pretty quickly. I like to do this pull them back. I think you can go pretty big with these pulls as long as you only really have one staghorn. Because with two staghorns, if your kicks aren't super on point, um, it gets really out of control, and that's the only option you have to stop them is with an interrupt. Everything else is kind of whatever. So the two flying birds here, you could paralyze one, and they're kind of leashed together so they won't move if you want to skip them. But as we have, yeah, now the pack is joining us, and apparently I don't know. Oh, I guess I noticed at some point after our healer's dead. So I did pause the birds, and at some point I decide, screw it. It's three mobs. Let's pull them into the birds. We need the percent anyway. Again, you can get good detox usage here, which I don't think I was doing a very great job of. I got a little scared there. I guess I could have Celestial Brood. I think I Touch of Death this one, hopefully. Yeah. One of these mobs I lose aggro on. Yeah, this poor mage ends up battling. I was kind of annoyed. So, I mean, I give him a ring, but this this expansion, there's just something going on with threat. It's so bad. But yeah, that sort of thing happens all the time. It's usually with melee DPS. But it's very annoying. It can really screw up a pull if people just don't care. But I mean, there's things I could have done better there too, especially with the ox statue. I really do highly recommend the Ox statue with a um, some sort of targeting macro that taunts it, which that's what I'm using. I think yeah, I watched a video. There's another Brewmaster guy, Shaw. Should be pretty easy to find on YouTube. Um, he does a lot of really uh, great commentary videos, and um, I've gotten some macro. I think he actually just released a macro video today, in fact. But I did steal the Black Ox statue macros from him. Very very helpful. So we got 7.5 minutes going into the last boss with 11% left to get. And I think we just kind of buzz right through the boss um, pretty easily. We do end up with 9 deaths total, if I recall. And I know the last pull or two gets pretty messy, but spoilers. The statue, once again, is really useful here with the larva because you can just AoE taunt them. There's a tremendous amount of bosses this expansion or this season um, that spawn ads. There's the one in Dawnbreaker that comes to mind. The last boss in Arakara. I usually just put the statue in the middle of the room and it aggroes most of the bloods. Um, I'm sure there's some other City of Threads last boss. Same thing. You can taunt those four little mobs. Aerodax, the last boss in Grimbatol. Don't, it seems like every dungeon has one of those. Again, I don't think I used a single tempered potion this whole run, which, not that you need to, especially as a tank, but every little bit helps. And in the 10-11 range, you're still not quite at that point where uh, your damage as a tank really matters all that much. I mean, you know, it helps, but it's usually not timing a 10 is not because of your damage as a tank, typically, unless the party's really, really struggling. We did lose our we did lose our shaman again. Poor fella. It really probably is worth Touch of Deathing one of the larvas early on in the run, or I guess as often as you can, because you do get that 30-second damage buff. I tend to forget about that. Definitely make sure you're using health pots because it does interact with your Celestial Fortune. There's been more than a few times where I've you know healed 7-8 million HP with a health pot at low HP. So again, 3.5 minutes. We're getting down to the wire a little bit, and I think if you put your statue here, which I'm pretty sure I did, I can just see now. Yeah, it just came off cooldown. It will pull these birds. I believe that's what happens here. And I didn't learn that this run. I think I learned it in the run right before it. Uh, yeah, so once again, Our poor shaman died. I don't want to blame him for all these deaths. It's just could be super unlucky. But things do kind of go off the rails here a little bit. I think we used, yeah, that was our last battle res. Or maybe he resed himself. I wasn't paying attention. But this was not ideal. You can very easily, kill your whole run with that sort of unanticipated, bird pull. But I think these guys get us real close to. I think we need one more mob, yeah, after this. And I guess maybe the birds were a better option, but doesn't really matter all the same. We just gotta kill one of these and we time it. And we do, and oh, yep, again, with the birds. I think we lose one more person here. And we kind of slide, yeah, of course, it's the shotgun. And we slide into victory. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching.